Russian lessons for beginners. This is our 10th lesson. In this lesson, we will talk about one of the functions of accusative case, Russian grammatical genders, and some verbs of motion. Let's summarize our last lesson. As you remember, last time we've been talking about one of the functions of the accusative case, when noun or pronouns are direct objects, or we can say the objects of transitive verbs. As you see from this diagram, you can use adjectives or possessive pronouns to describe a subject or an object of a sentence. And you have to use adjectives or possessive pronouns in the same gender and the same grammatical case as the noun or pronoun you describe. So they have to agree with your noun or pronoun. Also, you have to consider to use singular or plural form, which again depends on your noun or personal pronoun you describe. You also can include an adverb to describe verbs, and you don't need to change them. There's just one form of the particular adverb. Few more things I want to spot on before we move on. There could be more than just one direct object. Remember, all of them must be in accusative case. For example, вчера моя мама хотела купить большую новую машину и маленькую собачку. As you see, we have a comma between first and second items of your list, and E, which is and in English, between second and the last item. One more point I want to bring your attention to is the case when we have more than one predicate. For example, моя мама хочет купить большую новую машину и найти новую работу. Let's start with the words we've learned last time. Купить, работа, новый, машина, искать, вчера, хотеть, папа, мой, твой, наш, ваш, ее, его, свой. And the same words without translation. Купить, работа, новый, машина, искать, вчера, хотеть, папа, мой, твой, наш, ваш, ее, его, свой. Today's lesson we will start with genders of Russian nouns. When we've been talking about adjectives, I mentioned that they have to be the same gender as nouns you describe. So you need to know that all Russian nouns, except those we use just in plural, we can split into 3 groups according to the grammatical genders. Let's start with masculine grammatical gender. This category includes all the nouns with hard stem without endings. For example, brat. There are some exceptions. Words ending with zh and sh. I will tell about them later on. Most soft consonants, for example, zверь, including those which have e at the end. For example, герой. Also, to this category we add nouns which mean a person with endings a and ya. For example, papa. Nouns which stay the same in all the cases. For example, maestra. Feminine nouns. We include most nouns with a and ya at the end. For example, семья. Some nouns with soft stem at the end, excluding e. For example, дочь. Nouns with hard zh and sh. We've been talking about when I mentioned masculine nouns, but in such nouns at the end must be a soft sign. For example, rosh. Also, some words we don't change. For example, madame. Neuter grammatical case includes nouns with endings o and ye. For example, окно, солнце. With me at the end, for example, время. And some nouns which don't decline. For example, пальто, taxi. I have to mention that some words, mostly names of professions, you can use in both cases, talking about man and woman. For example, word doctor. Last few lessons we've been talking about the accusative grammatical case, and in particular cases which shows us the person or thing that has an action done to it, the direct object. For example, I bought a car, so the car had been bought by me. I'm performing this action to the car. Today we will cover one more function of the accusative case. When we use it after verbs of motion, if the object in accusative case is inanimate. I must say that in English you would change a preposition when location switches to motion. In Russian, we are going to keep the same preposition but change the case. For example, she works at the shop or she's going to the shop. In both these cases, we will use preposition v. But just for one of them, shop will be in accusative case. So, the prepositions v, na, za, and pod are used with the accusative case to denote direction. Noun preceded by these prepositions answer the question "Куда?" where to. I have to repeat that the same prepositions may denote place, but in this case we would use different grammatical case, and we will come back to this topic when we will cover prepositional case. This works just for inanimate nouns. If you want to say that you are going to your mom, you will use different grammatical case. Let's look at some examples. If someone will ask you, where are you going to? Куда ты идёшь? You can say, я иду в банк, я иду в школу, я иду в магазин. So, школа, банк, magazine, all of them in accusative case. Let's look at one of the motion verbs, ехать. I want you to look at this diagram. So here we can see verb ехать with different prefixes. Уехать, объехать, переехать, доехать, подъехать, заехать, приехать, съехать, выехать. We cannot use all of them to denote direction, so not all of them answer the question "Куда?" where to. When we use the accusative case, we are talking about new destination of something. It could be a bottle, money, you, maybe your friend, a bowl, even water if you pour it, for example. Basically, it could be anything. It's not there yet, but you are going to move it there, or it will be moved by himself, herself, or someone. If you use past tense, you are talking about this process when something has been moved. For example, девочка закатила мячик под стул. Мальчик закатил мячик за деревянный стул. Мальчик поставил стакан на стул. At the same time, you're answering the question who's done it. Мама положила книги на стол. Сестра села на стул. As you see, all these sentences have direction of motion, and some of them have direct objects we've been talking about last lesson. And few more sentences. Я положила руку на его голову. Он положил голову на подушку. Он сел в свою машину. Она переехала в другой город. Now it is your turn. Please try to build your own sentences and learn new words. You watched Russian lessons for beginners by P.S.Russian. So if you want to find out more, go to www.psrussian.com.